imagine that one day I'd transmigrate into a novel as a Ken and Fodder character together with my mom. Chapter 1. The moment my mom came at me with a spatula, I knew I was screwed last night. I binged a novel called The Rise of the Illegitimate Daughter. The foolish heiress gets slapped from 11 p.m. until 3:30. The plot was ridiculous evil. Supporting characters, scheming stepmothers, and a weak original heroine, but it was addictive. Even my mom had been following that book. I'd often hear her cursing in the kitchen while cooking, spatula in hand. This main girl is too dumb. And what's with that useless mom? Makes me mad just thinking about it. This morning, she yelled at me 3 times to get out of bed. I ignored her as usual, but this time she really came in with the spatula. Lin Shi, get up or I'm coming. Over there. Terrified, I shot up from my bed and rushed toward the door to shut it. But before I got there, bam, I slammed my forehead straight into hers. The stars exploded before my eyes. My ears rang and everything went black. When I opened my eyes again, something was off. The ceiling above wasn't mine. It had carved wooden beams and soft pink drapes. She's awake. Quick, get the doctor. My poor daughter. What were you thinking, running into a wall? My heart skipped a beat. That was exactly how the book described the heiress's bedroom. I looked down at my hands, pale, slim, delicate with 2 red scratch marks. Beside the bed stood a woman dressed in a pale green robe, jade hairpin in her bun, face pale and eyes filled with worry. She grabbed my hand tightly. Shire, you scared me to death. Mom? She blinked. Wait, Lin Shi, you're Lin Shi? I stared at her, my voice trembling. Mom, did you crossed over too? We locked eyes. 3 seconds of silence, then both of us shouted at the same time. What the hell? We were stunned. My mom looked around the ancient-looking bedroom, touched the bump on her forehead, and stared blankly for 5 full minutes. Meanwhile, my brain was working overtime. We had transmigrated. Definitely, I was now Lin Shi, the supposedly vicious heiress from the novel in the story. Lin Shi embarrasses herself at a family banquet, gets framed by her stepsister, and is ultimately exiled to some remote mountain estate for recovery, basically a death sentence. My mom, on the other hand, had become the original Lin Shi's biological mother, Lady Jiyu, a weak, submissive noblewoman who dies early in the story. We were the ultimate cannon fodder combo. Set up to die, I'm really Lady G now? Mom pinched her own cheek in disbelief. I took a deep breath. Mom, listen to me. I know this story like the back of my hand. We have to lay low and survive. She gripped my hand. Then what happens next? I lowered my voice. Tonight, our stepsister Lin Wan-ru is going to steal my jewelry box and plant it in her mother's room. Tomorrow morning, you and I will try to report it. But she flipped the story, accused us of slander. Father will side with them. You'll get punished and I'll be locked up. She frowned. Then let's not go. We can't, I said. If we don't go, they'll just take the box themselves and claim we stole from them. Either way, we lose. She narrowed her eyes. Then let's turn the tables. I met her gaze. Understanding flashed between us. We grinned. Night fell. The estate was quiet. I tiptoed toward the side door of my courtyard while my mom held up a lantern behind me. We're really letting her steal it? She whispered. Relax. I swapped the real jewelry with fakes and added a special letter inside. Sure enough, a shadowy figure crept in, grabbed the box from my table, and vanished. Let's go. Time to visit Auntie Slayer. We crouched outside the concubine's window, eavesdropping. Inside, we heard her scolding in a hushed tone. You can't act now. If anyone finds out, the stepsister giggled. Don't worry, Mother. Tomorrow I'll accuse them first. That woman Jiu and her stupid daughter will be ruined. Then a soft laugh. I'll handle it. Mom gave a cold chuckle. They really think we're stupid. I whispered. Let them talk. The more they say, the better for us tomorrow. By morning, the household was in chaos. Lin Wanru proudly held up the stolen jewelry box before Father. Father's sister came to my room last night. This box belongs to me. Please seek justice. Father frowned. Shire, how could you act so shamelessly? I smirked. This box is yours? She nodded confidently. Of course. I opened the box slowly and pulled out a sealed letter. Can I assume this letter inside is yours too? Gasps echoed. Around the room, inside was a forged letter detailing a plot to poison Lady Jiu. My mom wrote it herself last night, and the calligraphy was deliberately shaky. Concubine May paled. This is slander, lies, I smiled. Then let's investigate. The servants can testify it never left my room last night. If the box was moved, someone else did it. Father's face darkened. Guards, take Lin Wanru and concubine May to the woodshed. We'll sort this out later. The room fell silent. Everyone stared as Mom and I stood confidently in the center of the hall. She leaned over and whispered in my ear. How was that? Nailed it, right? I tried not to laugh. Perfect. This might be the best start we could have asked for. Once, I was nothing but a Doom supporting role. And Mom, a background character fated to die quietly. But now, we have memories, we have brains, and we had each other. This time, we're rewriting the script, and we're not playing anyone's canon fodder ever again. Chapter 2. Everyone's playing a role, but only Mom and I know. The script breakfast at the Prime Minister's estate had always been a grand affair. But today, the air was thick with tension. Concubine May and her daughter Lin Wanru had just been dragged off to the woodshed. The servants were whispering behind their sleeves. Even the old steward was sneaking glances at me and my mother, but I wasn't paying attention to them. I was watching Father. He sat at the head of the long dining table, his brow furrowed, eyes fixed on the bowl in front of him, not saying a word. Normally, he'd already be lecturing us about family discipline or reciting some nonsense about rules and honor. Instead, he just stared. As if unsure what to say, my mother gently lifted her soup spoon and sipped quietly, her posture graceful and calm. This woman used to be terrified of even raising her voice. But today, she sat there like she owned the whole damn hall. Shire, she said softly, looking at me with a smile. Eat your porridge before it gets cold. Yes, Mother, I replied, mimicking her elegance. Across the table, one of the younger concubines, Lady Shu, cleared her throat and smiled awkwardly. Madam Jiu, your complexion looks much better today. The physician's visit must have helped. My mom dabbed her lips with a handkerchief. No physician came, actually. Just good rest and a clear conscience. Lady Shu's smile froze. Bam. First passive-aggressive kill of the day delivered with class. Father finally spoke, his voice low. Yesterday's matter will be thoroughly investigated. If what was in that letter is true, there will be punishment. My mom set down her bowl with a faint clank. Of course. I believe the truth always prevails in this house. Boom. That's two. I had to hide my grin behind my sleeve. She was killing it. After breakfast, Mom and I returned to our courtyard. The moment the door shut behind us, we both collapsed onto the couch. I was this close to bursting into laughter when you said clear conscience. I wheezed. She flopped dramatically beside me. And your yes, Mother, you sounded like a little aristocratic ice queen. I almost choked on my tea. We both cackled. But soon the laughter faded, and reality settled back in. Shire, she said seriously. What happens next in the story? I sat up straighter. We just survived the first big event. In the original plot, after being punished, we were seen as weak. So all the concubines and younger siblings started scheming openly. That eventually led to the poisoning incident. And your death, she nodded. But now that we flipped the situation, what happens to the plot? I tapped my forehead. It's already starting to change. Every decision we make now branches off from the book. But I remember the major arcs. Good. Then let's not just survive, we'll thrive. said, her voice firm. I raised my eyebrows. Oh, someone's getting ambitious. She gave me a wicked smile. If we're stuck in this world, I'll be damned if I spend it bowing to concubines and getting poisoned in a dark room. I laughed. Damn right, Mom. Later that day, a young maid ran into the courtyard, out of breath. Miss Lynn, madam. His Grace has summoned you to the main hall. We exchanged looks. Time for round 2. In the main hall, Father sat behind a desk, a small box placed in front of him. Beside him stood the steward and a few trusted elders of the family. I scanned the room. No concubine may. No Lin Wanru. Father cleared his throat. We've examined the handwriting in the letter. It does not match any known samples from this household. Of course not. My mom wrote it with her left hand and deliberately changed her strokes. However, he continued, several servants reported seeing Lin Wanru sneaking into your courtyard late at night. I nodded, exactly as I said. He looked at me with unreadable eyes. Shire, you are not as I remember. I bowed. I was foolish in the past, but I've realized that if I keep pretending to be someone I'm not, I'll end up in an early grave. He didn't reply, but something shifted in his expression. Mom stepped forward. My lord, I know I've been quiet in the past, but that doesn't mean I haven't been watching. This household needs stability and clarity. Father looked at her for a long time, then nodded. The concubine and her daughter are confined for now, he said. But we cannot punish them fully. Without undeniable proof, I smiled politely. That's fair. I'm sure proof will surface eventually. We walked out of the hall with the sun high overhead. That was a win, I muttered. Mom agreed. A quiet one, but a win. Just as we were about to return to our courtyard, a servant ran up with a sealed letter. A message for young Miss Lynn. I opened it and froze. It's an invitation, I murmured. From the Duke of Jin's residence. Mom blinked. Duke of Jin? That's the sickly male lead, I whispered. The one who fakes his illness to avoid marriage politics. In the original book, he never meets Lin Shi. Mom leaned over to look at the seal. So, why is he inviting you? I didn't answer immediately, but in my gut, I knew this wasn't part of the original story, which meant one thing. The script had changed. Chapter 3. I'm supposed to be the villain. So, why am I the hero now? The invitation lay on my lap like a glowing curse. I stared at the golden emblem of the Duke of Jin's household, embossed in deep crimson wax. In the original novel, the Duke of Jin was a sickly, reclusive nobleman. He was barely mentioned, just a background character who died off screen, never even interacting with Lin Shi, but now somehow he had invited me to his estate. Mom peered over my shoulder. Still think we're just along for the ride? No, I muttered. We're not passengers anymore. We're rewriting the damn story. She crossed her arms. Then let's make sure we write it right. That afternoon, I sat at the vanity while Mom personally combed my hair. It was surreal seeing her so calm, so focused, braiding each strand like it was a battle formation. Why are you doing this yourself? I asked, watching her in the mirror. She smirked. I don't trust the maids yet. Half of them probably report to some concubine. Fair. She added a final pearl pin, then stood back to admire her work. There. Elegant, but not too flashy. You'll look respectable, but not easy to push around. I blinked at my reflection. Gone was the spoiled heiress with overly bright rouge and aggressive eyeliner. No, I looked like a proper young lady, cool, composed, with just a hint of Doan's single quotes T-mess with dash me dot double quotes. I look good. You look like you're about to destroy someone's bloodline, Mom said proudly. Go get him. The Duke of Jin's estate was vast, but strangely quiet. Unlike the bustling Prime Minister's manor, this place had an eerie calm like every step echoed. I was led into a sun-drenched study where a man sat by the window, back turned to me, painting silently. He didn't turn when I entered. Only when? I said, "Young Duke, thank you for the invitation." Did he place his brush down and glance over? Holy, he was beautiful. Pale, sharp eyes, lips thin but elegant. His long hair tied with a jade band, and even in the seated posture, his presence dominated the room. So this was the sickly male lead? He looked like the final boss of a romance drama. "I wanted to meet the infamous Lunshi," he said, voice low but rich, "but the one standing before me doesn't match the rumors." I smiled slightly. Perhaps rumors are not as reliable as people think. He stood, walked over slowly, and studied me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. "Your eyes, they're different." Maybe I finally started seeing things clearly. A long pause. Then he chuckled. Not sarcastic, genuine. "I like you," he said plainly. I raised a brow. "You've only known me for 30 seconds. And in those 30 seconds, you've shown more clarity than most women do in a lifetime." This man was dangerous. Not in the poison and daggers way, but in the I dash no dash everything dash you single quotes redash trying dash to dash hide way. "What do you want from me, Duke Jen?" I asked. He moved to a nearby cabinet and pulled out a scroll, handing it to me. "I want an alliance." Back at home, I unraveled the scroll on the desk while Mom peeked over my shoulder. "What is that?" "A marriage candidate list," I said. Slowly, "for the Emperor's upcoming decree. He wants to tie noble families together." She blinked. "You're on this list?" "Yes, so is Wanru." Her face darkened. "And Duke Jin?" I nodded. "His name is at the top, which means he doesn't want the Emperor to choose for him." "Exactly. He's making moves early. And he thinks I'm a better political ally than Wanru." Mom let out a low whistle. "Smart man. Too smart," I murmured. "He knows something, or suspects something." Mom folded her arms. "So, what do we do?" I looked her dead in the eye. "We do what we came here to do, take back our power and protect ourselves." She nodded. "Then it's time we started making some real allies." The next morning, all hell broke loose. Concubine May had escaped from the woodshed. Or rather, she'd been let out. Father stood in the main hall, face dark with fury. "Who gave the order?" All the servants dropped to their knees. I stepped forward. "May I speak?" He gave me a curt nod. "I believe someone within the estate wishes to sow discord. If we cannot trust our own staff, perhaps it's time to replace them." Mom added, "We must investigate the inner court thoroughly. Start with the servant registry. Anyone with ties to concubine May's Neenan family should be questioned." Father rubbed his temples. "Do what you must?" Boom. We had just been granted full authority over internal affairs. It was more than we hoped for. That afternoon, Mom and I held a private meeting with the most loyal maids and stewards. "From now on," Mom said calmly, "this courtyard answers only to us. No one enters without permission. And anyone who speaks to the concubines without reporting it," I added, "is out." We were met with silent nods. Fearful but obedient. Good. We were no longer just surviving. We were building a kingdom within the household. Later that night, as I sat by the lantern scribbling in my notebook plot points, memory fragments, names of future enemies, I paused. This wasn't just a story anymore. I wasn't just trying to avoid death. I was building a legacy. Mom walked in, holding a tray of pastries. "You're thinking too hard," she said. "Eat something." I took one and bit into it, sweet with a hint of citrus. "I used to think I was just the villain in someone else's story," I said softly. She sat beside me. "You were. But now," she smiled, "now you're the author." Chapter 4. She's the illegitimate one. So why am I the one always backing down? Concubine May returned. Not with shame, not with humility, but with gall. The very next day, she showed up in the garden pavilion wearing bright cherry red robes and a smirk that could slice a brick in half. Her hair was done up in a full court-style bun, dripping with jade and gold hair hairpins, as if she hadn't just spent 2 nights locked in the woodshed for plotting murder. When I saw her, I almost laughed. Out loud? Oh no, Mom muttered beside me. She's doing this sympathy performance. Sure enough, the moment we approached, Concubine May clutched her handkerchief and looked up with teary eyes. My lady, my dear Madame Jiu, I've wronged you. Mom gave her a flat look. Yes, you have. May froze. She had expected some kind of polite deflection, maybe even a fake reconciliation. She did not expect my mother to just agree. I stepped forward, folding my hands with an elegant smile. Concubine May, before you collapse into a faint, I suggest you go wipe off your rouge. Your left cheek is smudged. The surrounding maids stifled their laughter. A few failed. May's hand shot to her cheek. You! I blinked. Oh, I didn't say anything. Mom raised her brow. Perhaps it's best we all reflect silently today, considering how much chaos you've caused. Boom. Combo hit. May turned red, then pale, then red again. You'll regret this, she hissed under her breath, then stormed off in the direction of her courtyard, flanked by 2 sulky maids. I turned to Mom. That went well. I almost want to thank her, she said. The drama keeps us relevant. Tragic cannon fodder turned main characters? Exactly. Later that afternoon, the family gathered for the monthly ancestor offering a formal ceremony meant to show filial piety and, more importantly, status. Each branch of the family had an assigned position. In the original novel, Lin Wanru would somehow finagle a place above me, even though I was the legal eldest daughter. Today, I was ready as we walked into the main shrine hall. Sure enough, I spotted her in my seat. Wanru wore a pale blue dress, embroidered with delicate cranes. She looked like a little porcelain doll, harmless, graceful, utterly innocent. But I knew better. I approached with deliberate steps. Wanru, I said gently, you seem to be in my spot. She blinked. Oh, I thought Father assigned me. Here, I smiled. How strange. Because the steward handed me the list himself, and your name isn't even on it. Gasp from the servants. Her face tightened. That must be a mistake. Mom joined in, fanning herself lazily. Then let's clear it up with Father. I'm sure he wouldn't approve of someone stepping above their station. Wanru's facade cracked. There's no need to trouble. Father for something so small, she muttered, standing up stiffly. Oh, but position isn't small, I said. In this household, rank is everything. She moved aside. I took my rightful seat. She sat behind me, lips pressed tight. Mom leaned over. That was satisfying. I whispered back, we're not done. As the ceremony began, incense curling into the air, I watched the elders and nobles offer prayers, their expressions solemn. I took the chance to scan the room faces, alliances. Whispers. The May faction had taken a hit, but they weren't out. Several old ladies still cast sympathetic glances her way. But now some of them looked toward us with curiosity. Madame G's changed? I heard one of them murmur, she used to be so meek. I heard she exposed May's plot personally. Let them talk. We wanted them to talk. Visibility was power. After the ceremony, Father called me into his study. His expression was unreadable. Hands folded behind his back. You've changed, Shire. I nodded. Yes, less temper, more control. I said nothing. Your actions lately, they show cunning, intelligence, perhaps even ambition. Is that a bad thing? He looked at me for a long moment. It depends on how you use it. I stepped forward. Father, may I ask something? Go ahead. Why do you always believe Concubine May? Even when her actions clearly harm the family? That hit the mark. His brows twitched. She was loyal to me when others were not, he said finally. In times of war, she brought me news. Saved me once. That debt is not easily ignored. I bowed. Then I will remember that. But loyalty to you is not the same as loyalty to this household. He didn't respond. But I could tell something had shifted. Back in our courtyard, I relayed everything to Mom. He's conflicted, I said, torn between old debts and present facts. Then we just keep giving him more facts, she replied, until the debt no longer outweighs the damage. I smiled. Exactly. That night, Wanru made her move. A scream tore through the quiet of the estate. We rushed out to find a maid collapsed outside our door, blood on her hands. She tried to poison Miss Lin. Someone shrieked, "Poison, classic, the oldest trick in the book." Too bad we were ready. Check her sleeve. I said, "The guards did," and pulled out a small sachet of red powder, the same red powder used in beauty products and poisons, but this one had a faint floral scent. I recognized One Aro U single quotes S signature perfume, a gift from Concubine May last spring. This isn't just evidence, I said. This is her calling card. Mom smiled. Shall we take this to Father? I turned to the maid, still trembling. Tell us everything. Who sent you? She burst into tears. It was second miss. She promised to pay my brother's gambling debts if I slipped it into your tea. Boom. Game over. Chapter 5. Personal cheat code activated system unlocked. Plot armor equipped the night was far from quiet. After the poison plot unraveled, the household erupted like a boiling pot of soup tipped into fire. Father personally interrogated the maid. One Aro, he was dragged to the ancestral hall. Concubine May fainted on the spot again and had to be carried away by servants. But Mom and I, we calmly drank tea in our courtyard like it was just another Tuesday. Too clean, she muttered, setting down her teacup. That girl confessed too quickly. She was scared, I replied. But you're right, this was rushed. Desperate. She's slipping. Good. Just as I leaned back, something buzzed in my head. Not like a sound, more like a glitch. And then ding. System initializing. Welcome, host Lin Shi. You have successfully activated Canon Fodder Redemption System. Main objective. Rewrite your fate. Reverse your downfall. Side objectives. Protect maternal figure. Gain control over household. Accumulate reputation points. First mission. Survive the next 7 days without being demoted or exiled. Reward. 50 reputation points. +1 inventory slot. I blinked then blinked again. Okay, that's new. Mom raised an eyebrow. What's new? I think I just unlocked a cheat code. I didn't explain the system right away. After all, I wasn't sure if I had lost my mind or if this world had just decided to throw in a bonus chapter. But the interface stayed clear in my head. Sleek, golden bordered, very heavenly administrative style. I mentally tapped the inventory icon. It was empty for now. A little scroll popped up beneath it, showing the mission tracker. Mission 1. Survive 7 days minus 0 sevenths. Condition. Maintain or increase current standing. No disciplinary action, no exile. I nodded slowly. Doable. Very doable. I closed the panel. If I had a system now, that meant this world was no longer a simple copy of a novel, it was an interactive game. And I'd just been handed the player's controller. The next morning, I entered the ancestral hall where Wanru knelt, her head bowed, hair messy, and fingers bloody from kneeling on gravel overnight. She looked up at me slowly. Are you happy now? She hissed. I knelt beside her, voice calm. You tried to poison me. It wasn't poison, it was just a sleeping agent. I held up a hand. Doesn't matter. The point is, you lost. She trembled. You think Father will let you stay in power forever? I don't want power, I said. I want safety. But if you keep pushing me, I'll take both. Her eyes widened at that. I stood. Enjoy your kneeling. I hear tonight it might rain. As I walked out, the system dinged again. Ding. Progress update. 1 day survived. Reward. +5 reputation points. Hidden. Bonus triggered. Public display of dominance. Plus 10 prestige. I nearly laughed. This system had a wicked sense of humor, Doc, back in our courtyard. Mom noticed my smug expression. All right, spill it, she said. You've been grinning like a fox all morning. I have a system now. She paused mid-sip. Like a game system. Yes, it gives me missions, tracks reputation, gives rewards. She leaned in, dead serious. Do I get one too? I snorted. I think you're the protected NPC. Better than being cannon fodder. We both burst into laughter. Leader. That afternoon, the steward delivered news from Fodder. Master has granted Madam G full authority over household management. All expense accounts and personnel lists are now under your review. Mom's eyebrows lifted so high, they nearly vanished into her hairline. Did he say all? Yes, madam. I whistled. That's a major win. The steward added, also, young Miss Lynn is to represent the family at this week's poetry banquet at the Chancellor's estate. I blinked. That was a public event dot in the novel. Wanru had gone instead, gained sympathy for her gentle manners, and secured the favor of the Chancellor's wife. Now, that stage was mine. Tell father I accept, I said. Voice calm dot ding. New mission unlocked. Steal the spotlight. Objective. Outshine rivals at public banquet. Minimum 30 reputation points required to pass. Reward. Reputation boost plus exclusive skill unlock. Oh, I whispered. Now we're playing for keeps. That evening, as I tried on dresses with Mom's help, she suddenly asked, "You ever think we'll wake up back in our real bodies?" I froze. Sometimes, but I don't want to, she nodded. Me neither. This world might be crazy, but at least here, I don't feel powerless. She adjusted my sash with a soft smile. Same here. And here, I get to raise my daughter all over again with no regrets. I swallowed hard. Then let's win this game. To the end. Chapter 6. The poetry banquet that was supposed to ruin me. Watch me rewrite it. The Chancellor's estate was a palace in all but name. Red lacquered beams, intricate stone gardens, lanterns with hand-painted cranes swinging gently in the breeze. This wasn't just a banquet, it was a battlefield in silk. Dozens of noble families had gathered here to parade their daughters. All of them perfumed, powdered, and armed with poetry. The prize? The Chancellor's wife, whoever won her favor, would have every door in the capital open. In the original novel, Lin Wanru took this stage. She accidentally tripped into the Chancellor's wife's lap, cried soft tears while reciting poetry, and left the banquet with everyone calling her a living jade doll. But today, I was the one stepping off the carriage. As I walked into the hall, heads turned, I was dressed in a violet gown embroidered with plum blossoms, subtle but noble. My hair was swept into a high knot, with a single silver pin shaped like a phoenix feather, one my mother had pulled from her private box. You don't need to look flashy, she'd said that morning. You are the main character now. Act like it. I kept my back straight, my eyes cool. Let them whisper. Let them wonder why the infamous Lin Shi was here. I had a system to feed. Ding. Reputation checkpoint triggered. Current reputation 45/30ths. Mission steal the spotlight in progress. Inside, the Chancellor's wife sat on a raised dais surrounded by a circle of noble ladies. She was known to be sharp, observant, and fond of talent, especially the kind that could be presented like a well-wrapped gift. Lady Lin, she said as I approached, "How rare to see you here." I bowed deeply. "It is my honor, madam." I feared I would be out of place among such refined company. A few girls snickered. The Chancellor's wife smiled thinly. "Yet you still came." I met her gaze. "Because I realized hiding would only let others decide my worth for me." That got a small nod from her. One point to me. The poetry contest began. One by one, young ladies stepped forward with elegant verses about nature, virtue, seasons of life. The performances were beautiful and forgettable. Finally, Finally, it was my turn, dot, as I stepped into the center. A few people actually leaned forward, some in interest, some in anticipation of my failure. I didn't bring a scroll. No fan. No props, just my voice. My poem, I said, is called The Plum Tree in Winter. Then I recited, bare branches pierce the frost-kissed air, yet blossoms bloom in defiant flare, dot, no spring applause, no summer praise, still it stands. In snow-lit blaze, not all who shine await the crowd. Some rise alone, unbowed, unbowed. The silence after I finished was deafening, dot, no one spoke. Until, clap, clap, clap. The chancellor's wife began applauding, dot, it spread like fire. Soon, even the stuffy old noblemen in the back were clapping, dot, ding. Mission complete. Steal the spotlight. Reward unlocked. Plus 100 reputation points. New skill. Aura of authority. Increases influence over crowds when asserting presence. Merely staggered from the mental notification, dot, oh, we were cooking now. After the banquet, as the ladies milled about sipping tea and gossiping, a girl in a pale green dress approached me. Lady Lynn, she said softly, that poem was beautiful. She was delicate looking with long lashes and a gentle voice, but there was something alert in her eyes. You're? I asked. Mu King Yu, she said. My father is Minister Mu. Right, another major family. And in the novel, she was a side character, often overlooked. I'm surprised you're talking to me, I said. She smiled. Only fools fear what they don't understand, and only idiots ignore rising stars. I blinked, dot, okay, dot, noted. I think we'll get along. Just fine, I said, dot, ding. And an ally discovered, Mu King Yu, potential alliance available, except Y-N-I. Mentally clicked Y. That night, back at home, Mom was waiting with her arms crossed. Well? She asked. I flopped dramatically into a chair. I blew them all out of the water. She handed me a sweet bun. Knew you would. I told her everything, the poem, the applause, the mysterious Mu King Yu. Then I mentioned the skill upgrade. You got a skill? She said, eyes wide. What is this? A cultivation novel now. It's called Aura of Authority. Apparently, people take me more seriously now. You mean they finally recognize what I've known since you were 5? She huffed. I grinned, dot, then grew serious. Mom, I think things are going to speed up from here. She nodded. Then we hold on tight and we stay ahead. I opened My System panel. Day 3 complete. New main mission unlocked. Control the household. Seize full authority over estate management before day 10. And just like that, the next level of the game had begun. Chapter 7. We were just trying to survive. How did we end up running the whole estate? 3 days ago, no one even looked us in the eye. Now, people bowed when we passed. Power in a noble household didn't come with a crown. It came with a ledger. And that ledger now sat in my mother's hands. Rice, candles, fabrics, ink. Why are there 3 sets of numbers for everything? She asked, flipping through the accounting books with a frown. I leaned over the desk. Because everyone's been skimming. The stewards, the maids, the kitchen, even the gardener. She clicked her tongue. They must think we're blind. I smirked. They thought we were dead. Ding. Main mission progress. Control the household. 12%. Subtask unlocked. Audit the ledgers and identify embezzlers. 0 thirds. Reward. Plus 30 reputation points. I tapped into the system's new clarity function, which let me scan through. Text at superhuman speed. My eyes flicked across each column like a machine. Got them? I said. 3 names. 3 household servants who had been quietly draining our resources for years. One was in charge of candle oil. Another managed the food supplies. The third was a favorite of concubine May, in charge of the fabric storage. Mom stared at me. You read all that in 2 minutes? I have a cheat now, I said simply. She raised a brow. Well, so do I... It's called middle-aged fury with nowhere to go. By lunchtime, we summoned the 3 servants to the courtyard. They arrived all. Smiles stopped by the end of the hour. They were on their knees, sweating bullets. Mom held up the ledger like a sword. Do you take us for fools? It must be a mistake, madam. Then you won't mind if we hand this over to the Bureau of Revenue for review? They paled. I leaned in. We'll give you a choice. Return what you've stolen, apologize publicly, or be dragged out in chains. Ding. Subtask complete. Embezzlers identified. Reward. Plus 30 reputation points. New title gained. Internal Affairs Enforcer. Estate servants are 25% more obedient. They chose to apologize loudly in front of the entire inner court. And just like that, the wind changed. Over the next 2 days, Mom and I reorganized the entire household staff, lazy maids, reassigned to latrine duty, talkative but loyal stewards, promoted to better roles. Old spies planted by concubine May, gently removed. With heavy bribes and fake recommendations elsewhere, the estate began to hum with a different rhythm. Our rhythm. Even Father began asking for our opinions during evening reports. Madam G.U., he said one night at dinner. The staff appears more efficient lately. Mom smiled. When people know who's really watching, they start working. He gave a small nod. Not praise, but not disapproval either. The peace was never permanent. That same evening, news arrived. 1 RO, you had fallen ill. Convenient, I muttered. Just as we consolidate power. Mom narrowed her eyes. She's not done. We visited the sick room together purely for show. She was lying in bed, pale and pitiful, a silk handkerchief clutched in her trembling fingers. Elder sister, she whispered hoarsely. Are you here to mock me? No, I said smoothly. I came to remind you. If you ever pull another stunt, I won't stop at public humiliation. Next time, I'll go for exile. She didn't answer, but her fingers curled tighter around the handkerchief. Ding! Day 4 complete. Bonus objective. Assert dominance completed. Plus 15 reputation points. Later that night, I sat on the rooftop, watching the moonlight pour over the estate like silver. Ink. Mom joined me, wrapped in a shawl. 4 days, I said quietly. Feels like 4 years, she nodded. I never thought I'd see the day we had control over this place. You regret coming here? She shook her head. Back in the real world, I worked 2 jobs, barely saw you. Here, I get to watch you grow strong. Smarter than everyone, you protect me now. I swallowed hard. You protected me first. She chuckled. Well, I still will. No matter how many cheat codes you unlock. I smiled, leaning my head on her shoulder. We'll win this together, I said. We already are. Chapter 8. My mother's acting was so good. Even I almost cried the next morning. Started with chaos. Again. A maid from the West Wing came running into our courtyard, panting and pale. Madam G.U. Miss Lynn. The old madam, she collapsed. Mom! And I exchanged a look. The old madam? She repeated slowly, that would be Father's stepmother, the matriarch of the house. A sharp old viper with enough influence to sway decisions in the family. In the novel, she never liked the original Lynn She or her mother and secretly favored concubine May's side. Now, it seemed, her health was failing just when we were solidifying our power. How convenient. We arrived at our chambers too. Find the usual crowd gathered. Concubine May was already there, dressed in somber blue, kneeling by the old madam's bed with red-rimmed eyes. Oh, Madam G? She sobbed the moment we stepped in. Mother has fallen ill because of the endless stress in this household. She didn't say it directly, but the implication was obvious. We were the stress. Mom didn't flinch. She stepped forward and gently took the old madam's hand. Mother, she said in a trembling voice, please don't scare us like this. The old madam coughed weakly. The household torn apart, sisters fighting. Even Wanru fell sick. Behind me, I could almost hear Concubine May smirking. Mom slowly lowered herself to her knees. Her expression shifted, eyebrows quivered, eyes filled with glistening tears, voice quavering just enough. Perhaps it's all my fault. Everyone froze. My eyes widened. Wait, what? I've been too rigid, she whispered. Too proud. I only wanted to protect my daughter, but I've caused rifts instead. Concubine May looked stunned. The old madam blinked. You admit it? Tears slid down Mom's cheeks. Yes, I failed to be the glue that holds this family together. I beg your forgiveness for everything. She bowed deeply, forehead touching the floor. The room fell into stunned silence. Even I couldn't move for a moment. Ding. New passive skill acquired. Tactical guilt trip. Causes audience to feel 30% more empathy toward the user when displaying controlled vulnerability. Oh, she was acting. And it was working. The old madam sniffled. Child, rise. I didn't know you carried such a burden. Mom lifted her head slowly. Her eyes glistened, but her face was full of dignity. I only ask that you give me the chance to set things right. Concubine May opened her mouth, then closed it. Too late. The room had turned. Later, in our courtyard, I stared at my mother like she had grown wings. Where the hell did that come from? She sipped her tea calmly. You're not the only one with a system, dear. I blinked. Wait, you do have one? No, she said flatly. But I do have 30 years of raising a child, managing in-laws, and surviving your father's entire extended family, which is basically the same thing. I leaned forward, impressed. You had the whole room ready to build you a temple. She shrugged. Let them cry. Tears cost nothing. Sympathy buys influence. I laughed. We should weaponize your tears. Ding. Main mission progress. Control the household minus 65%. Bonus objective unlocked. Win matriarch's favor. Completed. Plus 40 reputation points. Hidden path unlocked. Eligible for family council seat vote. Now that was interesting. Mom, I said slowly, how do you feel about joining the family council? She paused mid-bite of a sesame bun. I thought only men were allowed in that circle. They were, I said. But with the old madam's blessing, that might change. She gave me a sly grin. Then let's make history. But of course, nothing came without consequences. That evening, as we returned from dinner, we found a torn letter nailed to our door. No signature, just 2 words written in angry red ink. Traitor bitch. Mom raised an eyebrow. Subtle. I peeled it down calmly. Concubine May's running out of moves. She can't touch us in the daylight. No, Mom agreed. But rats still bite at night. Ding. Warning. Threat detected. Incoming sabotage within 48 hours. New mission. Find the mole. Identify the saboteur before damage is done. Reward. Advanced detection function. Here we go again. That night, I met with Moo King Yu under the pretense of a walk in the plum garden. She greeted me with a graceful nod. Lady Lin. Lady Moo. We sat beneath a lantern-lit archway. I hear the household shifted in your favor, she said. Congratulations. I smiled. Balance has its moments. She glanced sideways. And enemies have longer knives when you're standing. Tall? I didn't reply. Instead, I took a chance. Would you consider forming a more formal alliance? She arched a brow. Like, political backing? No, I mean something more solid. Information, support, warning of threats. She tilted her head. And what do I get? I don't go down, I said. That's my offer. After a pause, she smiled. You know what I like about you, Lin Shi? What? You stopped being afraid of the script. Ding. Alliance confirmed. Moo King Yu. Perception boost activated. Day 5 complete. When I returned to my courtyard, Mom was already asleep on the chaise lounge, a shawl draped over her shoulders. The system ledger still open beside her. I tucked the shawl tighter and looked out at the stars. We weren't just rewriting a story. We were building a Dynasty. One tier. One scheme, one flipped script at a time. Chapter 9. I was just trying to find the mole, then I accidentally unlocked a royal marriage plotline. The morning air in the estate felt sharp, like something was hiding in it. I opened my system panel as I sipped my tea. Active mission. Find the mole. Time remaining 36 hours. Clue unlocked. List of unscheduled deliveries available in kitchen inventory logs. Kitchen logs again? I muttered. Mom raised an eyebrow from across the table. Who knew winning a household required so much food math? I smiled. Apparently, the way to catch a saboteur is through dumpling inventory. We headed straight to the kitchen. The head cook, a stout woman named Auntie Zone, flinched when she saw us. Relax, Mom said sweetly. We just want to see your delivery logs. She hesitated. They're a bit disorganized. We don't mind. 20 minutes later, I found it. One entry, buried under 10 lines of common supplies, 2 extra crates of lotus root wine. Delivered late at night. No signature. Entered by Zhao Nuo. Who's Zhao Nuo? I asked. The cook paled. She was one of Wanru's personal maids. Ding. Clue found. Unauthorized deliveries identified. New objective. Interrogate. Zhao Nuo. Reward. +1 advanced detection skill. But there was a problem. She disappeared 2 days ago. The cook whispered. Said she was taking leave to visit her sick uncle. I frowned. Right when May's faction lost control. Rats leaving a sinking ship. Mom muttered. I turned to the system. Optional action. Seek Mu Kingyu's intelligence network. Why? That afternoon, I sent a coded message to Mu Kingyu through a poetry scroll. 2 hours later, she arrived casually dressed in hunter green, carrying a fan. You're a missing maid? She asked, unfolding the fan. Found her. I blinked. That fast? I have ears in the outer city. She's hiding in a tea house under. A false name? Mom looked impressed. Do you sell that service? King smirked. Only to people who might become duchesses. I raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? She waved it off. You didn't hear? Duke of Jin made inquiries about you. I choked on my tea. Ding. Hidden storyline unlocked. Real marriage route. Duke of Jin interest confirmed. Decision pending. Oh no, I whispered. I'm still processing my estate management arc. King shrugged. You're gaining power. That makes you visible. With her help, we tracked Zhao Nuo down the next morning. She was dragged safely into a side room of the estate. Pale, trembling, eyes darting. Please, she whispered. I didn't want to do it. Then why did you accept the bribe? I asked calmly. I thought Miss Wanru would protect me. Ding, saboteur confirmed. Zhao Nuo. Mission complete. Find the mole. Reward. +1 advanced detection skill. New skill acquired. Truth pulse. Temporarily enhances lie detection in conversations. Who else was involved? I asked. She hesitated. 2 more servants, but I don't know where they went. They disappeared the same night I did. I narrowed my eyes. There were still pieces missing, but for now, this win was enough. That evening, the family gathered for a formal dinner. It was the first one we'd had in weeks where the full family was present. Even Wanru appeared fragile. Dressed in white like some ghost from a sad poem, she sat silently across from me, refusing to meet my eyes. Father cleared his throat. I've heard from the Capital Registry that the Duke of Jin has sent scouts to visit the estate. Whispers erupted. He looked directly at me. Apparently, His Grace has asked for your birth records. I put my chopsticks down slowly. I wasn't aware he was considering a match, I said. The old madam suddenly laughed softly. If the Duke of Jin wants one of our girls, it is a great honor. Concubine May cut in sweetly. Perhaps he meant Wanru. Silence fell. Mom spoke. Calmly. I doubt the scouts would visit our courtyard if he wanted your daughter. May flinched. Ding. Family status increased. Recognition from patriarch and matriarch. Bonus reputation plus 50. Father cleared his throat again. Nothing is confirmed. But if a marriage proposal comes, we will consider it with great care. I would prefer not to be treated like a ledger entry, I said coolly. He stared at me for a long moment. Then, he smiled. I expect no less from you. Back in our courtyard, Mom and I sat beneath the paper lanterns, the warm breeze rustling the vines. You realize this Duke might become a serious issue, she said. Not if we control the narrative. I replied, will you marry him? I was quiet for a long time. Only if it's on our terms. Day 6 complete. New mission. Rewrite the marriage plot. Accept, deflect, or weaponize proposal. Reward. Title advancement plus path. Unlock. Political Queenmaker. Chapter 10. We're not just surviving the script anymore. We're writing our own ending. It began with a wedding invitation. Except, it wasn't mine. It was addressed to Concubine May's daughter, Wanru. The sender? Some minor noble house from the border provinces. A family once favored, now desperately clinging to relevance. Father placed the letter on the table with a heavy sigh. Enough political clout to keep up appearances, he murmured, but far enough away that she won't stir up more chaos. Here, Wanru's face went pale. Father, you can't. It's better than banishment, he said quietly. You've left me little choice. Concubine May tried to speak, but no one listened. Her influence was gone. Her allies exiled, dismissed, or suddenly very quiet. Her daughter reduced to a bargaining chip, and for once, we didn't have to lift a single finger. Ding, main mission. Control the household. Complete. Bonus objective. Final rival eliminated. Plus 100 reputation points. Title earned. Matriarch in waiting. New system option. Endgame path selection unlocked. That night, under the paper lanterns of our courtyard, the wind smelled like jasmine and victory. I sat across from my mother, sipping chilled plum wine. She looked younger, somehow lighter. Tomorrow the family council will vote, she said. They'll offer you a seat. And you? I said. They'll offer you the purse strings for the entire estate. She gave me a look. Who do you think did the math behind your victories? I laughed. A long, easy, earned laugh. In the morning. The votes were unanimous. I became the youngest ever. Female to sit on the family council. My mother was granted full financial oversight. That we had climbed the ladder not by begging but by dragging down the rotten rungs, rebuilding it from the ground up, and daring anyone to stop us. The final event came 3 days later. The Duke of Jin arrived. Yes, that Duke in person, dressed in black with silver-threaded sleeves. He looked less like a nobleman and more like the closing chapter of a very dangerous book. He met me alone in the garden. You've rewritten more of the script than I expected, he said calmly. You mean survived it? He tilted his head. No, surviving is reactive. What you did was strategy. I didn't respond. He stepped closer. My offer still stands. A marriage alliance. He nodded. I studied him for a long moment. Once, I would have been flattered, or cornered, or confused. Now, I was just clear. Ding. Mission, rewrite the marriage plot. Final decision required. Options. A. Accept, enter political marriage. Gain national power. B. Decline. Focus on independent estate. Rule. C. Propose alliance without marriage. New path unlocked. I smiled. I have a counter-offer, I said. Alliance, no ring. Mutual power, shared goals. He blinked then smiled, like someone had finally given him a new ending too. architect of destiny. That evening, as the sun dipped below the garden wall, I found my mother trimming the lantern wicks. "Say it," she said without looking up. "No wedding," I replied. She smiled. "Knew it." We stood side by side in silence for a moment. Then I said, "You know what the scariest part of this world was?" "What?" "That it almost made me forget I ever wasn't strong." She paused, then gently put her hand on my shoulder. "I was never worried," she said. "I raised you, didn't I?" Ding! Final chapter complete. System summary. Missions completed. 10 tenths allies gained. 3 household. Controlled. 100% romance route. Bypass legacy score. SS plus end title. She who rewrites. System deactivating. Ending uploaded. Control returned. To host, I looked up at the night sky. The stars felt closer now. I'd entered this world as a cannon fodder, villainous with a dead-end script.